everyone, I hope you're well. I'm the Unobtrusive Healer and I'm here with a pick a pile reading. So in this reading, this is all about 3 things happening before the end of 2024 or within the next 6 months of you watching this video. So if you happen to come across it a little bit later, it's all good. It's from the time you're watching and it's set for the next 6 months. So the way that this reading works is we have our 6 piles here on the table and you're going to pick 3 times. So you might feel drawn to 3 immediately, or you might just feel drawn to 1 at a time. And then you might go watch that video and then you might come back to the pile selection and then feel your next one. However you want to do it, that's fine. But yeah, that's how you get your 3 things. So it's not 3 things in one pile, but each pile has 1 thing and you'll pick 3 times intuitively. I'll show you a quick close-up of all of the crystals. And then if you're interested in hanging around while I do a quick little chat about where I've been, why I haven't posted in so long, feel free to hang around for that, but you definitely don't have to. You can feel free to jump to the timestamps and head straight to your selections if you wish. So group 1, it's very overcast where I am in the world, so we don't have the super great lighting for these crystals, but group 2 have the clear quartz angel. Group 3 have the quartz geode. Group 4 have, well, it was a pendulum, but I need to replace the chain. And this is celestite. Then we have celestite again in a different form, but this is in an egg, or it's an egg cluster. And then finally for group 6, we have the bismuth. So take as long as you need to select your crystals. Pause it if you prefer to give yourself some extra time. And then when you're ready, I'll see you over in your reading. But if you are sticking around for this potentially boring part, yes, I have been MIA for quite some time. It all started when I broke my finger. Well, my son kicked it while playing some sport and he kicked it by accident and it did quite a bit of damage. So now I'm going to have a wonky finger in most of my readings, as you'll see. I'll give you some time to guess which finger it is. And if you guessed the right pinky, you definitely guessed correctly. So it's a very odd shape. I was doing rehab for the longest time to try to get it looking normal again, but yeah, it hasn't really happened for me. So it's kind of stuck like that, and I feel like it definitely looks a bit weird when I'm filming sometimes. Like when I put it down, it tends to stick out to the side and it looks quite wonky. So now it's like a little insecurity that I have to deal with. But then honestly, after that, I've also enrolled to get qualified because I also work in childcare, in out of school care. And basically I made the decision to do the study to get qualified in that because I plan to be there for like quite a while anyway. It's good to have on the side while I also do this work as well. It's kind of good to have a little bit of both and to balance the two. So yeah, I've been studying as well as working that job. Obviously, I'm a single mum, so I'm also raising a child. And I've just been very burnt out. So I feel like the whole beginning of this year was me just trying to spend as much time as I could in my spare time, just trying to get my energy right. So the break was definitely necessary, but I also hope that I can start getting back into some routine with these videos because I'm generally just not as happy when I'm not doing this stuff. So yeah, I am aiming to be back a bit more regularly. So for those of you that do message and email about private readings, I am still doing them, but I just have to be very careful about when I'm taking them on, how many I'm taking on. because I can't afford to get behind in like my studies and general life, because that stuff's quite important as well. So like at the moment it's just, yeah, I've just been trying to find the right balance in my weeks. There's just been so much going on. So thank you for being patient with me. I do intend to get back to the emails and the private messages on Instagram as well, for those of you that are trying to book in, and I will do so when I have the time and the energy, because sometimes, yes, maybe I have a spare hour, but sometimes I'm so depleted and drained that I just need to spend that hour doing like nothing or doing some self-care and things like that. So thank you in advance for your understanding, but also thank you for your understanding for this past sort of 6 months as well. 7, maybe even 8 months. It's been a while since I've been posting, other than little shorts here and there. But yeah, that's my spiel. That's what's been going on for me. Basically, I'm just a human like you, having a human/spiritual experience and trying to just manage and, you know, get through as best I can. But yes, without further ado, I will leave you be and see you over in your piles. Just remember that I've tried to keep them as specific as I can, but for some piles we do have like differing messages because there are different collectives of you. You are free to pick more than 3 times. If you feel particularly drawn to even more than 3 crystals, there might be some more things happening. But of course, they are general messages designed to fit a number of people. So just use your discernment, and yeah, enjoy the reading. Hello Group 1, welcome to your reading where we are diving in to see something, well, 3 things happening in the next 6 months, but this is going to be one of those things. So whether you're here for your first, second or final pick, I'm glad to have you here. Let's dive in and see something happening in your next 6 months. So you guys have chosen this crystal here, which I actually forget what it's called because I keep their little name cards, but then I don't keep them in any order, so I forget which one's which. But either way, that's the crystal you've chosen, and we're going to turn your cards around and see what you have coming in. So we have number 14, Caring Connections. Then we have the 7 of Wands. And we have Cancer. Okay, interesting. Okay, I'm pretty quickly seeing where this is going. All right, so now this could relate on any level. It could be like platonic, it could be romantic, or it could be like a business type partnership. But this is definitely signaling so for some of you, this person may already be in your life, and for some of them, they're yet to come in. But this is signaling this energy where you're not fully receptive and open to the opportunity because you're a little bit guarded and a little bit untrusting, potentially because of maybe things you've been through in the past. And funnily enough, Cancer is represented by the crab. The symbol is the crab. And when a crab doesn't feel safe, they tend to retreat into their shell. You know, they can get a little bit defensive. They want to sort of like claw people because they're not feeling safe. But then if the Cancer sign's feeling safe and they can open up and be truthful, yeah, they can be a very open and emotional sign. So for those of you that don't have this person in your life yet, for those of you that this is a connection coming in, this is definitely saying that yes, it's coming in, and it's okay to have your wits about you, and it's okay to be aware of any red flags that may pop up. But I think this is warning you of being so guarded or so defensive that it doesn't even have the opportunity to get near you, because you're already sort of giving off this closed off vibe. So I think that Seven of Wands and Cancer here is asking you to be vulnerable. It's okay to be aware and it's okay to remain aware, but don't confuse like keeping your wits about you with being cold or so guarded that you're not actually letting anyone get close to you, because it feels like you're kind of in this energy where no one can get close to you. You're very guarded, and it's like not very many people really have a chance. So it's kind of saying like maybe this person could come in, but they're not even going to have a chance to get close to you because of the energy you're in. So this is just asking you to be open to the connections that are coming your way. It's okay to be alert and use discernment and like tune into your intuition, but don't fully overthink and shut things down without, I guess, I don't want to say without reason, because sometimes our intuition is reason enough, but just be very careful that it's intuition and it's not fear, or like it's not coming from a place of feeling too vulnerable that you want to push people away. Like make sure it's really your intuition. But for those of you that already have this person in your life, it feels like, I can't lie, it doesn't really feel like a business relationship. This feels like an emotional connection. So either a friendship or an intimate romantic relationship. It feels like it's like leveling up, or like the level of commitment or intimacy is deepening, and this could trigger you to feel scared, or you could get this sort of little insecurities come up and make you want to like keep it, I don't know, keep a distance from it and not let it get to that new level. But this is just asking you to like let down your defenses, open your heart, because it feels like this is a real opportunity here. The sign of Cancer is like the home, family, loved ones. So it almost feels like this has the potential for you to, this has the potential to be like, to grow into sharing a home and family if you don't already. But this sort of feels like a connection in its more early stages. And yeah, it does feel like that, like your person's going to look for that deepening of the connection, and you might be a little bit resistant. But if you like let down your guard, I think that you'll find that this can be a very wholesome, an emotional bond, and a very healthy one as well. So don't be afraid to let the love in, is what I just heard. Don't be afraid to let the love in. I can't help but get the feeling like some of you, I don't know if you're like online dating or if you just get a lot of attention in real life, but it does feel like there's multiple people kind of vying for your attention or admiring you. And it almost feels like you're quite used to not letting them in because maybe they're not, I don't know, your type, or they're not on, I don't know, like they don't match your frequency, or like the connection is just not there, or whatever it is. It feels like you're quite used to sort of keeping people at bay. But then you have the risk of like missing out on this one special person that's coming in, or that's trying to develop something deeper with you. You or they could have Cancer in their chart. I'm noticing 14/7, so the 14th of July could be like someone's birthday, or actually, is that in Cancer season, 14th of July? Yeah, it is. So I don't know if that's someone's birthday. I'm now actually being drawn to the letter C, because we've got C, C, and a C, and a C. Just to throw that out there as well. So C, the initial C, could be prominent for someone. I'm also seeing a side message here. Someone could, oh, whoopsie daisy, just knock something off my table. I'm also seeing a message here where there's a moment where you have to fight for someone in your home or your family. So whether this is your child, your partner, like your relationship, but there's a moment where you're called to fight for your loved one. So I'm not talking like physical fight either, but I mean like advocate or stand up for. So if this is like your child, maybe they're going through something at school and they come and confide to you, and you're called to be an advocate for your child. Like, you're called to go into the school and defend your child, or speak up for your child, or maybe I don't know, you and your partner have really managed to turn things around in your connection, and now you feel like people are kind of coming for you and your person, and this is you kind of turning around and saying, well, no, I'm going to be an advocate, you know, they've changed this and that. It does feel like, it feels like that more relates to anyone that may have a child. It doesn't necessarily feel more like a romantic relationship, just because of how genuine and pure the connection seems to be. Like, I can't imagine people coming for the connection if this is your message. So it feels like that would more be like a relative or a child in your home, or connected to your home, that you're fighting for or standing up for. And it's definitely giving, like with Cancer and the Seven of Wands, like mother bear energy, like, don't you dare come for my child, or like, I don't know, just something like that. So on that note, I do feel like, because I'm circling back to that message about how when a Cancer feels safe to open up, they'll like really let you in. But if they don't feel safe, then they're going to just retreat to their inner world and say absolutely nothing, and be like more of a hermit crab, or a hermit, you know, like staying in their shell. So maybe this is about cultivating a very safe space for your children or your relatives or family in some way, to make sure that they feel safe enough to speak about what they need to speak about, because maybe they're harboring something. It doesn't necessarily feel too sinister. Like, I'm not picking up on like a really dark or negative energy, but it could be like, you know, someone's picking on them at school, or they're feeling challenged at school, whether it's to do with the learning or the teachers or something like that. You know, maybe just like a little thing that has happened is making them feel not right, and they just need you to step up and advocate for them. I keep saying that word, but advocate is just a word that just keeps coming up for me. So it's like advocating for your child or standing up for them in some way. But yeah. I think that's all I'm seeing. So I think I'm going to call it there. Yeah, thank you for watching. If this was only your first or second pick, I'll see you in your next and final pick. Otherwise, if this was your final pick, thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you hopefully in another video soon. Bye. Hi Group 2, and welcome to one of the things that are happening in the next 6 months, or before the end of 2024 if you're watching this relatively close to when it's posted. For Group 2, we have the little clear quartz angel. And whether this is your first, second, or final pick, we are going to dive straight in and have a look at something that is happening in the next 6 months. So your cards, we have number 34, Door to Personal Healing and Happiness. You have the Four of Cups. And for your astrology cards, we had 2 flip over, which was Libra and the 6th house. So the first thing that's really jumping out at me here with, well, sort of with all 3 cards, but especially with these 2. So the 6th house can speak about health and wellness, routines, organization, things of that nature. And Libra can talk about partnerships. So the first thing that's jumping out at me is that you and a friend or lover, take it as it resonates, you could be implementing a new routine in your life that contributes to your personal healing and or happiness. And this is sort of coming from a place of being dissatisfied or unhappy with something. So just as an example, say you and your housemate, or you and your partner, you and your best friend you're not happy with the way that you feel or happy with the way that you look. So together you decide that you're going to join a fitness class, and you start going once or twice a week or something. It becomes a routine that you commit yourselves to, and it leads to a lot of healing and happiness for you. Another thing could be you're just generally feeling like you're lacking joy or you're lacking fun in your life. So you and a friend sign up for like an art class, or, you go to something that becomes a regular part of your routine. So whether it's like, I don't know, a massage or getting your nails done, it's something that you do with another person, and it increases like your happiness, and therefore it helps you heal and sort of uplift your energy. So that's like the main thing, and some examples to kind of help you narrow it down. But just let me sit with the cards for a second. Okay, yeah, so I could feel like there was something else coming through, but it felt very disconnected from that first message. Like this feels like something completely different. So it's like we're getting group 2 part A and a group 2 part B. Because for some of you, I feel like this Libra card is representing a relationship that's already in your life. And it feels like there's this like struggle between your needs and the needs of the other person. So for example, it's almost like this feeling of maybe you feel like someone's a little bit codependent, you're urging or desiring freedom. Like I'm really feeling like this bird's representing like just wanting freedom, and then this is like coming through to me as like escapism, like not focusing on what's really going on, but escaping to like a daydream or a fantasy. And it's like this energy of wanting freedom, wanting space, wanting more time for you and your needs, rather than having to sacrifice those needs for those of another. So it could be the fact that you are sort of choosing to distance yourself a little bit from somebody in your life in order to fill your own cup, find your own healing and or happiness, I want to say. Because yeah, like it's just all becoming a little bit draining for you. And yeah, like, our health and our wellness is very much about like our inner world. So it's almost like this struggle between what your inner world needs of you and then what someone else needs of you. It's like that's clashing, and perhaps you're just trying to distance yourself and focus a little bit more on yourself. I'm also noticing that 34 reduces to 7, 3 plus 4, and Libra is the 7th sign or the 7th house of the zodiac. So 77 could potentially be a number that you're seeing a lot to sort of clarify this message, or even like just 7 or 777, any sort of combination of the number 7. And then we also have the 2 4s out. So same with 4s, 44, 444, that type of thing. I do notice that we have some lotus flowers in this card down there, and this can represent sort of coming out of muddy waters and blooming. So it definitely feels like no matter which way this resonates, it definitely feels like it does lead to like a personal bloom season of yours where you do start to glow and grow, and just sort of, discover like some happiness again. So it kind of has two different interpretations here. Like some of you are joining forces with a friend and sort of really relying on them or relying on each other to sort of hold yourselves accountable to this new routine or this new activity or class or whatever it is. But it definitely leads to happiness and healing. And then others of you are finding that need to withdraw from the people around you and really focus on your own personal inner world and prioritizing those needs. I think that's all that I am getting here. I'm also being given the word recovery, and looking at these in a more abstract way, the sixth house can also speak about habits, and with Libra, with relationships, it's like a relationship with a habit that maybe no longer serves you. So it's like needing to remove an unhealthy like addiction or an unhealthy habit. And it feels like this, you're quite bonded to this thing. Even if it is a person, it's like you're quite attached, because for it to be like a relationship to a habit, it's like you've formed an attachment to this habit, and the secret to transforming your life seems to be like recovery from this addiction, or like letting go of this habit. It's like getting free of unhealthy attachments. So if any of you have any type of addiction, whether it's like to sugar, technology, substances, alcohol, gambling, like any sort of unhealthy habit or addiction, I do see a recovery from this. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but it sort of seems like you get to a point where you're just like so over being stuck or repeating the same thing over and over again. And like it's just time, like you're ready to just let it go and evolve out of that cycle of sort of struggle or discontentment or dissatisfaction, because it's not, whatever it is not really fulfilling you. It's either just like an escape, an idealization. Yeah, it's definitely not something that's serving you, and sort of getting rid of that will help you find a lot of healing and a lot more happiness than what you're able to find while you're stuck in that cycle. Yeah. Another random message that's coming through is that someone watching this could be, I want to word this gently. It's like someone out there that's watching this video could be hiding their sexuality or their preferences, and I am seeing this energy of coming out to the people around you and finding a lot of freedom from doing so. There could be one person in particular that initially doesn't receive the information very well, but I don't see that becoming like a long-term issue. I feel like regardless of how they feel about it, I feel like they do come to terms with it, or they still, it's like it doesn't become an issue because they don't want it to affect your relationship. So it's like maybe they won't, I don't know, maybe you'll feel energetically that they feel a type of way, but I don't think they're going to outright say it, if that makes sense. Like I think that it's something that they'll sit with on their own for the sake of you being happy, if that makes sense. I feel like I was tripping over my words a bit then, because I feel like they don't want to say that they're not happy with your decision, but they they would rather not say it because they want to preserve the relationship with you, if that makes sense. I hope that's coming across the way that it's meant to. But yeah, that's all I'm seeing. I'm going to leave it there and move on into the next group. So if I'm seeing you in another pile, I'll see you then. Otherwise, if this was your last pick, I hope to see you again in another video soon. Bye. Hi group 3, welcome to your reading. This could be your first, your second, or your third reading out of this video, but regardless of where you're at, we're going to dive in and have a look at one of the things happening in the next 6 months. You guys have the little quartz geode, which when it has the right lighting, it's very sparkly and cute, but the lighting's not quite doing it justice today. But anyway, let's flip your cards over and dive in. So you have number 24 in reverse, adjacent possibilities. You have the 4 of Wands, and you have Eros, the asteroid. Okay. Interesting cards on the table. Let me just take a minute to tune in, because I kind of like this card with adjacent possibilities. It's like there's several pathways this reading could take, and I'm just trying to make sure that I tune into the right message for your group. So when this card's in this position, it can talk about not being so fixed on your plan or your agenda or your mission that you're missing out on opportunities for like real happiness. The Eros, it is about like what lights your soul on fire. So this doesn't necessarily have to be a relationship or a person, but it could be like a sport, a hobby, a creative gift that you have, like whatever lights your soul on fire, and just, you know, you really get fulfillment or excited about. That was not worded very well, but yeah, basically anything that really makes you feel like excited, energized, passionate, fueled, like things that really increase your life force energy. And it's funny because the 4 of Wands can represent like milestones in terms of relationship milestones, or it can just be any sort of celebration, prosperity, it's just an interesting message altogether, really. But anyway, I'm going to throw a few things out there because there's no just one straight answer. But let's say, for example, the best way that I can relate it to these cards, the best example I can relate to these cards would be someone who is single and they're like, they have a plan, right? So it's like, okay, I'm going to have this much money in the bank. I'm going to be doing this. I'm going to have reached this goal before I even look at love or look at dating or look at partnerships. So you kind of like shut people out, turn people down, or you don't even entertain the idea of a relationship. Or it's like, if you are still getting physical, it's like you're not letting yourself get deep because you have a plan and you're not willing to be flexible or compromise on that plan. And this could be like, but you're missing the opportunity for the relationship of your dreams, because maybe there's a perfect person out there destined to come into your life who's going to help you succeed in that on that path or on that mission or whatever that plan is. They can actually complement the plan rather than hinder it or knock you off that path. they can actually come in and be something that really pushes you to succeed. Someone that's really in your corner, and there's just this amazing connection, both like passionate but also like intellectually stimulating. It's like you're perfect for each other on all levels, but you could easily miss that opportunity if you're too fixed on your plan and being like, no, I'm not going to get tied down until I'm here or there, or till I'm 35 or 40, whatever it is. This feels like, missing out on something great because you're so focused on your plan, and you're missing out on this opportunity to like fully increase your passion, your excitement, your love of life, and all this prosperity that comes with this person. Something else could be like, remaining loyal to this job because you're being promised this opportunity, and therefore you're turning down other job offers or other opportunities that could actually make you 10 times happier because you're so married to this one place that you're in right now. So just sort of reflect on that message, because in terms of a prediction, like what's coming in the next 6 months, this is something that is not part of your plan, but it is still a golden opportunity, but you have the free will as to whether you're going to receive that opportunity or shut it out. So there is an opportunity coming, either in love, business, life, or something that you're super passionate about. But it's going to be up to you as to whether you take it with both hands or whether you let it pass you by because you're too fixed on your goal. Just sitting with the cards just to see if there's any alternative messages coming through. I also do want to talk about something that was coming to mind in the beginning as well, because it's coming back to me. The reason I was kind of giggling about it is because the way that my guides gave it to me was in, like, I just heard like in the echoes of my mind, this saying, and now that it's been a few minutes since it came to mind, I may butcher it, I may get it wrong, but it was that saying, don't let your girlfriend stop you from finding your wife, or don't let your boyfriend stop you from finding your husband. And because obviously, like, I don't align with that message, like, but at the same time, let's say you are settling for a mediocre relationship with someone who doesn't, light all your senses on fire and love you fully and passionately, and then that person comes along, it's probably going to open your mind up to a different possibility or a different, I guess, path. It's going to make you wonder if you're with the right person, if you're not. So like, I do think that the overall message is about not settling for something mediocre when you could have it all. Like, you could have something that mentally, physically, and emotionally stimulates you. Like, you could have it all. So why are we settling for something that's not completely fulfilling you, type of thing? So maybe that saying was coming through more as like a metaphor, because you could apply it to any area of life. Like, don't let your current job stop you from landing your dream job. Like, if we look at it more abstractly, we could look at it in that way. But obviously, because we have the Four of Wands, and in this Four of Wands, it literally has two people dancing very intimately, and we have the card of Eros. This does feel like it is related to love, but it could also just be related to passion. And I mean, passion goes both ways. It can end up being destructive, or it can end up benefiting you. So like, if the passion isn't sustained with anything besides that passion, that lust. Like, let's talk about people as an example again. Like, if it's just lust, it can end up being quite toxic. So it's like, well, maybe if you're like shutting out other options because you're focused on someone toxic and someone that your passion is actually hindering you instead of serving you, or your passion for this person, I should say. Like, if you're in something toxic, I think this could be about like, well, yeah, passion is a great thing, but on its own, it can become quite destructive and toxic. So it's maybe asking you, you know, is this situationship or is this person really the only person for you? Like, is this really your person, or is it time to start considering other opportunities, or even just starting to consider being alone for a little while to figure yourself out? Yeah, it's kind of coming through in a few different ways, so I wouldn't be surprised if there's a few different collectives sort of watching. So yeah, just consider how it applies to you personally, because it does feel like there is an opportunity coming for you before the end of the year or within the next 6 months. But if you're too fixed on your current path and too loyal to the thing or the place that's not serving you, you could miss this opportunity to just basically have your mind blown. So yeah, I think I'm going to leave your reading here. So if this was your final pick, I hope to see you in another video soon. But if this was one of your earlier picks, then I'll see you over in your next pick. Bye. Hi Group 4, welcome to your reading. So we are here to find out something happening in the next 6 months or by the end of the year. So if you've chosen Group 4, you've chosen my little pendulum that is now missing a chain, which I will replace one day, but it is, is it Celestite or Angela? I think it's Celestite, this one. But yeah, we'll pop it over here. So whether this is your first pick, second pick, or your final pick, excuse me. Oh, let me just take a quick drink of water. That was unexpected. There could be something unexpected around this, or something exciting or urgent, because that was just like very, I don't know. Okay. It was very like disruptive and out of the blue. But let's have a look at your cards and we'll find out what's going on for you. Sorry about me. All right, so we have 26 in reverse, which is hostilities. We have the Empress. And we have Aquarius. Okay, so right off the bat, I am picking up on how it's coming through is almost like at some point in the next 6 months, you're sort of detaching, pulling away, getting away from like any sort of like hostilities or any little annoyances, conflicts. Maybe it's even just like the conflict of everyday life. Maybe you're getting a little bit of a vacation, getting away, because when we think about Aquarius, yes, Aquarius is the humanitarian, but also Aquarius likes to be alone. So I'm just sort of getting this like energy of like withdrawing and like getting away from like everyday life. So maybe there's a vacation coming up, a trip, whether it's just a road trip, an overseas trip, an interstate trip, whatever the case. It's like getting away, getting time to relax, indulge, have fun, lighten up. And there's just like this real glow that comes out of that. So it's, because it kind of just feels like getting away from like the little annoyances of like everyday life and routines. And I'm not really picking up, for this particular message, I'm not picking up any actual like hostilities or tensions between other people. It's almost just like the stress and the havoc of everyday life. So like, let's say you're a parent, a working parent, and like, you know, you get up, you get yourself ready, get your kids ready, drop them to school, you go to work, you do this, you do that, and it's like the same kind of thing day in, day out. This is really this feeling of sort of like pulling away, getting away, and really just focusing on yourself and being happy and relaxing and just receiving and making yourself feel good. So that's kind of the first thing that's coming to mind. So some of you could have a vacation coming up, you could be aware of it already, or it could be that you're going to book it in the next 6 months. So the actual vacation could happen in the next 6 months, or you could be deciding to leave everything behind and book it in the next 6 months. Or both. Maybe you're booking and traveling in the next 6 months. But that's the first thing that I'm seeing. The next thing I'm seeing, so now I'm sort of being more drawn to the side of Aquarius that likes to socialize and connect with people. There could be someone in your life that either you're not seeing eye to eye with, there is a bit of tension or hostilities going on, and it does look like that is going to subside or like come to an end. It's sort of like giving me this energy of like, okay, everyone's putting down their weapons or they're dropping their defenses and just approaching the situation with a lot more love and grace is probably the word I want to use. So if there's someone that you haven't been seeing eye to eye with, I do feel like you're going to resolve that conflict and you're going to start being more in sync again with this person. I will say sometimes the downside of Aquarius can be what's the word I want to use here? It's like Aquarians can be known for having like a little bit of a superiority complex, or just like they can get a little bit, I don't know if controlling is the right word, but maybe even like neurotic, like they can be a little bit neurotic. And it almost feels like maybe perhaps you need to kind of consider where you're being either overly aggressive, domineering, one-sided, those types of things. Like really give yourself a good assessment on if you're being or adopting any of those qualities, and consider where you can be a little bit softer or a little bit more gentle, or perhaps maybe it's the other way around. Maybe you have taken a lot of crap from someone, and this is about recognizing where you need to enforce better boundaries, or where you need to stop being so giving and so generous with like your time and energy, and, you know, maybe second, third, fifth chances, and maybe it's time to pull away from a connection. So I think you're going to have to trust your intuition and your discernment on the matter, because I can kind of see how it could go both ways. Excuse me. If you have been finding that you yourself have been a little bit guarded, defensive, hostile when it comes to having an open heart, like maybe you have either unconsciously or consciously been pushing people away and trying to isolate, it does feel like a lot of self-love and kind of resetting your own energy can benefit that, and you can start to soften your energy not be so guarded and be more welcoming to the right people, opportunities, etc. Because I could definitely see how like these two on either side of the Empress could be an indication of maybe needing to soften your energy a little bit. I also just want to throw out there that if anybody is dealing with an Aquarius on a romantic level, or like even if it's in like the early stages, I think that like softening your energy can be a way to improve the situation. So if it's not growing or moving in the way that you want it to, or it's not progressing, if it's up in the air or anything like that, it could be because it's almost like you're approaching with too much caution, or you're trying to be like, there's definitely, it's okay to like want to receive and attract, but there seems to be something that's maybe like guarded in your energy, and that energy is kind of being projected out. So your person's kind of struggling to read you. So maybe you need to be a little bit more open and receptive and maybe just a little bit warm. And that could be like a secret to something blossoming or improving in that sense. So if that resonates for you, definitely consider maybe shedding some of the armor that you subconsciously or energetically wear. But yeah, the other thing that I would say is that like in the next 6 months, that I just feel like there's going to be a lot more peace in your life, and it just feels like things that used to bother you don't bother you anymore. You've got this certain amount of like self-love, self-worth going on, where it's difficult for anything to really knock you off center. Like you're just in a really good place, and you're just putting a lot of stuff behind you, letting a lot go. I feel like forgiveness is a big theme. So like just really forgiving yourself, forgiving others. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're letting them stay in your life, but just forgiving and letting people go with love, that type of thing. Just like a really mature approach. But yeah, I think I'm going to leave that message there. It's kind of felt like it was a little bit all over the place, but yeah, hopefully you're able to take something from that. If you're staying to pick another video, if you're staying to pick another pile, I'll see you in that pile. But if that was your last pick, I hope to see you again in another video soon. Bye. Hello Group 5, welcome to your reading. So in this reading, we're going to be finding out something happening in the next 6 months or by the end of 2024. We have the Celestite egg for Group 5, which I'm just realizing now is the same crystal, or the same crystal but in different form as the last group. But yeah, we're going to pop that over here. And whether this is your first, second or final pick, let's dive in and have a look at something happening in the next 6 months. So we have number 22, Yin Yang. We have the 6 of Swords. And from the astrology cards, we have the 2nd house. Okay, so this is immediately giving a very sort of career, finances oriented energy, because, well, the first thing that comes out to me is 222, and then that obviously leads me to the 2nd house. So you might be seeing 222 out and about on number plates when you're checking the clock, things like that, as confirmation of this message. But then, so yes, obviously 222, 2nd house rules finances and career, among other things. But then obviously on the 6 of Swords, we have someone here dressed in a business suit with a briefcase, climbing this ladder, so to speak. 2, 2, 2 equals 6, and this is a 6, so that's another little interesting coincidence, or like synchronicity, I should say, coming through. Okay, so the main message that's coming through when I look at these 3 cards as a whole, with yin yang, it feels like there is a lot more balance coming into your life, in the sense that maybe where you've been at in terms of your income or your career or your financial status, maybe where you've been at, you've been having to really, really, really work your ass off to get where you need to be. And maybe you've had to give a lot more than you're receiving thus far. But this is where things start to shift, and that give and receive starts to come into a better harmony. So it's like getting to a point where maybe you can work a bit less but earn a bit more. Maybe it's getting a promotion where instead of you having to do all that hard work, you're able to delegate others to do some of that work, which then brings you more of like a balance on like time and energy. Or maybe it's a promotion where even though you are still having to bust your ass and work really hard, maybe I think I said promotion, but I meant to say pay rise. So maybe you're still having to work just as hard, but maybe your pay is increasing where you're now actually getting what you're putting in, and it's more of a healthy give and receive rather than having to like basically reach burnout just to get by. So hopefully you're starting to understand what I'm trying to convey. But yeah, it feels like previously you've had to give a lot of yourself and you weren't getting as much, but then this is like a moment where everything shifts and you start to receive a lot more for what you're putting in. So there's a better balance going on. This could also relate to more of like a work-life balance. So maybe earning a lot more money, so then you can reduce your hours and you have a little bit more time to do the things that you love and invest your energy into things that make you feel more of an emotional reward or like an inner satisfaction. That could be how it's going to balance your life out. You know, not having to put so many hours in at work and having more hours to go engage in like a hobby or exercise, things like that. It could be it could be something like no, I lost what I was going to say. So maybe I was on the wrong track or something, but it just disappeared. But yeah, whatever this is, it's like an ascension from where you're currently at, because I'm really drawn to how those swords are moving up and he's literally climbing his way up. I also could see how this could be moving on to a different job or a different workplace. Like maybe you're still going to do the same thing, but you're relocating to like a different office or a different city, state, country, whatever, and you're going to be earning a lot more, which again leads to that same message of finding a better balance in how much you're giving and receiving. Yeah, let me just sit with the cards for another 30 seconds or so and just see if there's anything else I can pull through. Right now, I kind of feel like I'm hitting a wall. I am... So if I look at this card on its own for a second, like in its guidebook, it does talk about how in this position it represents the yin cycle, and then in that position it represents the yang. So because we've got it in this position, it almost feels like right now, all the hard work you're doing, a lot of it, it might have seemed for a long time like you're not getting anywhere, but that's because everything that was happening like below the surface, or like the work you were doing was happening, the results were kind of like starting to grow like behind the scenes. So it wasn't in like your reality, but it was more like the energy was shifting, and all of the energetic stuff that we can't see, that's where all of the momentum was happening. But then you're about to enter this part of the cycle where the results start showing up in your outer world. So it's like, because if we look at this, the colors, we go from the blue into the yellow, and then here again, he's going from the blue towards that yellow. So it's kind of like coming out of that yin cycle where everything's happening beneath the surface, and all of that energy you're putting in is yet to show up. But then in this next phase, you reach the point where those results start to show up in your life as like tangible physical rewards. So, you know, money increases, higher positions in your workplace or in a different role, etc. So yeah, I just feel like that was just a message about how like it's not that nothing was happening for you. It's not that all that work you were putting in was for nothing. It was the energy was building up, the momentum was building up behind the scenes. And this message is about how your results are about to show up in your physical world, with like, you know, financial windfalls or better opportunities, and anything that happens in your career that just enables you to find more of a sense of peace and balance within yourself and within your world, your reality. So yeah, I think I'm gonna just leave it there. It was a nice sort of direct message for you guys. But yeah, if that was your last pick, I hope to see you in another video soon. But if that was only your first and second pick, then I'll see you in another group. Bye-bye. Hello group 6, and welcome to your reading. So whether this is your first, second or last pick, welcome. If you're here, you've chosen the bismuth crystal. And we're going to take a look at something happening in the next 6 months. So let's take a look at your cards to start with, obviously. We have number 5, attachment in the reverse position. Good position for it to be in. 8 of Wands. Oh, and Pluto. Okie dokie. Okay, so the first thing coming to me quite strongly is in the next 6 months, some of you are letting go of an attachment to an unhealthy relationship, either with a person or it could even be letting go of your attachment to someone who hurt you in the past. So it's like you've held on to either the wounding or the person, or you're currently with someone who is not good for you, and in the next 6 months you're going to gain the courage to leave. What I am most drawn to on this particular version of the 8 of Wands is that we do have this breakthrough and this speed going on out the window, but we also have 2 cups here with no one actually sitting there. So it almost feels like a very quick realization and the immediate action to rectify the situation. So this is almost like, oh my God, what have I been putting up with all this time? Why have I stayed all this time? I'm going to leave, and then leaving, like ghost mode straight away. And because what is also interesting is that Pluto is like the planet of death and rebirth and like major change, major transformation. So it's almost like completely uprooting something that you have this epiphany about. It's like, what am I doing here? This is not for me. I need to get out of here, and immediately breaking free. So this could be sort of a lot to do with your energy. So your energy could be transforming at a really fast pace, and that's why all of this happens very quickly. It's like realization, decision to act, and then the action comes. It's very, very quick. That's what it feels like for me. If it's not a person, it could be some sort of, and I feel like this message come up in one of the other groups as well, is there could be some sort of bad habit, addiction, attachment to something else that's not healthy for you. So whether it's like to technology, sugar, junk food, I don't know, coffee, anything that has power over you that you feel bound to. It's like having a major wake-up call and deciding to free yourself. And it really results in just like this huge breakthrough. And then all this positive stuff starts to happen following that breakthrough. That's kind of like the main gist of what I'm seeing on the table. Yeah, whatever you're releasing, it was becoming very draining. It feels like maybe you identified with it to a certain point, but now maybe it's preventing your growth or preventing your evolution from where you're at now. And maybe with your level of awareness kind of evolving and changing, now you will start to make different decisions in your reality, and it'll all be quite quick. Like the Eight of Wands represents speed and big breakthroughs, but it's also known to be like a pretty positive card, especially when it's in the upright. It's about like breakthroughs for the better, breakthroughs that bring unexpected but positive change. And then like Pluto says, you know, death and rebirth. So it's like going through your own rebirth, potentially due to ending something else. So the death of one thing leads to your rebirth. And yeah, leads to a big breakthrough for you on a personal level. It feels like there's a lot of positive change on the horizon, like just sort of waiting for you to sort of make that call to cut that thing, person, habit out. Because I'm almost getting this sort of image here of like me looking out the window, like I'm quite stuck here, but when I look out there, there's all of this positive stuff waiting to happen. But first I just need to free myself to access what's outside that window there. The number 5 also represents change, transformation. For some of you, this could be like dropping like a mask of some kind. So maybe this could also be to do with like just becoming a more authentic version of self, sort of like letting go of people pleasing, letting go of faking it till you make it. Like if you want to say no, instead of putting on that mask and being like, yep, no worries, maybe it's about removing that mask and just saying, look, I'm sorry, I can't take that on right now. And maybe that's what leads to your big breakthroughs. And it's sort of like the death of a version of you that you've outgrown. Yeah, the death of the old you and a new, more authentic you arises, one who's less willing to change or sacrifice parts of yourself to keep other people happy. I'm also noticing that we have the 8 here, and with Pluto rules Scorpio, and Scorpio is ruled by the 8th house. So I don't know if some of you have Scorpio placements, and it could just be a little confirmation for the Scorpios in this group. Oh, I was going to say that maybe some of you are at the point in your birth chart where it's like your Pluto return, or like Pluto could be a very active planet in your chart in the next 6 months or at the time this happened, because it kind of feels like a lot of this is, it's not like a conscious change that you're going through. It's almost like it's happening behind the scenes on a more energetic level, and it's sort of happening for you. Like there's not much that you have to do. It'll just be like suddenly realizing, like I think I used the word epiphany earlier on, where it was like you just have this epiphany, like this is not good for me. Why am I remaining attached to this? Or why am I allowing myself to be attached to this? And just knowing all of a sudden what to do and how to do it and having that breakthrough. And it feels like Pluto could just be a big influence in this transformation. I do think that there is, like we do have a lot of darkness in this card, and the Pluto card is very, like really quite dark. So it does feel like it's not going to just be super easy. And it does feel like there's going to be maybe some pain and some sadness attached as well. But it does feel like, yeah, like it's all temporary, and the breakthrough is like 1,000% worth it from there. And I feel like also once you do sever that tie, so to speak, it feels like it won't be very long before the universe starts sending you like all these little opportunities to say like that was the right thing to do, you're on the right path. It's almost like validation and reward for doing that difficult work and choosing better for yourself. So yeah, like little unexpected blessings will just sort of come your way, just to confirm like you did the right thing, now you're on the right path, etc. So I think that's where I'll leave that message. So thank you for watching group 6. If that was not your final pick, I will see you in another group. But if that was your final pick, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in another video soon. Bye.